Hi, it is me, Bishop J from Camp Gilgal TV. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Community of Camp Gilgal TV. May God bless you. May God show you kindness, mercy, and prosperity. May God prosper you in all that you are doing or you want to do. God bless you. If it is your first time you come across this channel called Camp Gilgal TV, I kindly request you to subscribe. And once you finish subscribing, you like the video and you share it to all your platform of your social media. I do really appreciate you. You who take time to watch and support my video by liking and by watching the video. I do really appreciate you. May the Lord that I served bless you and shower you with all the blessings and the need He must supply it. God bless you. God bless you. We are today set in the Old Testament. We will touch two books of Old Testament, but the foundation of my sharing with you today, it is in Numbers chapter 20, Numbers chapter 20, verse 1 to verse 11. You may read the old story, verse 1 to verse 11. It is this great story. We cannot talk about the Old Testament, especially the Pentateuch books, without touching of Moses. He is the writer of those Pentateuch books, and he is the principal actor of the same Pentateuch books. that we need to arrive to understand that. This story in Numbers chapter 20, it was also happened before in Exodus chapter 17. In Exodus chapter 17, the story did happen, but it is the action is still always of people wanting to drink water because there were not water around where they were. Remember, they are in a desert. In the desert, there is no water. In desert, there is no rain. In the desert, it is only sand all over. You may not see where the sand started. You may not see even where the sand is finishing. Once you are in the middle of the desert, it is horrible. The heat is unbearable. The heat is unbearable. It is a really, really tough place to be. And it is not really a place that a human being can live. It's not a place for human being to live or to prosper. And then you can then say to me, but Bishop J, there is a country like UAE and the Qatarian and the others, they even transform. Yes, they transform it now. But in that time, technology was not as it is today. Then it was not. Even today, it is impossible for you to go and live in the middle of Sahara Desert, for example, or in a Kalahari Desert, for example. It's not a very good place. But where they were, in Exodus 17, they complained about water and they came to Moses, and Moses go to God and they have solution. And in 20, before I go in the deep of sharing to you what I want to say on this Exodus number 20. First of all, let me introduce you about Moses. Moses is born in a time where the decree from the Pharaoh was every child male born in a family of Israelite must be killed. Must be killed. That is the time Moses was born. And the mother said, no, I'm not going to kill my child. She have a plan. I can assure you, sometimes you start something, you think it is your plan, but you don't know. You are entering to God divine plan without you knowing that you are in the God divine plan. I'll give you this example just by passing. When Caesar say everyone in Israel land must go to do they wanted to do the counting of people, and you must do it only in your tribe where you come from, in the land of your tribe where you come from. He did not know also he was fulfilling the plan that Jesus must be born in Bethlehem, because the father, Mary and Joseph, the husband and wife, were in Galilee, which is too far away from Bethlehem. And by him putting this as a law, they have to obey and go to Bethlehem, where they come from, and Jesus was born according to the prophecy. That's why I said, you never know. The mother of Moses said, I'm not going to kill my child. He did what he did. They put her in a river where there were plenty of crocodiles. They can eat him, but God's hands is miraculously, and God's hand is too long, make the crocodile not to be around there. And Pharaoh's daughter came and take Moses. Pharaoh's daughter came and take Moses. The sister said, but I can call an Israelite woman to breastfeed the child for him to grow up. The Pharaoh daughter accepted it, and Moses was taken. But the law was they must be killed. But that plan of Moses' mother make that Moses was not killed. Then Moses have a 40 years in Pharaoh's house. When you read it in the book of Acts, in chapter 7, somewhere there, for Acts, when Stephen was preaching, you will understand that he grew up at Pharaoh's house with all the knowledge and everything of the Egyptian, and as a prince. And as a prince in the Pharaoh house, he did not work hard, because a prince in that time, they were not also a lazy princes as we have them today. There was a prince that also they were called to be the general in the army. In a case that the kingdom has been attacked, they're gonna go to the fighting front and to defend the kingdom. That he has military capacity, he went to school, he was well schooled, and he was very high in literacy. That of all the Egyptians, they remember in that time, the Egyptians, they were very high. It was a superpower of the world in that time, in everything, economy, in literacy, in science, in witchcraft. The Egyptians, they were high. And Moses was schooled in that time, 40 years. That is the first block of 40 years of Moses in the house of Pharaoh. The second 40 years block of Moses, it is when he ran away after killing someone. He ran away from Egypt land. He went to the Midianite land. And when he arrived there, he stayed there for 40 years or so. Then he started having a new school of thought. He became a shepherd. He became a shepherd in a house of the man who became later his father-in-law because of what he did. He became a son-in-law. He worked for the father-in-law. He worked and he worked hard. Remember, the shepherd, they don't work in a very soft places. They don't work in a high conditioner places. The shepherd, they work in open air. In open air, the sun, all the wheat, they eat of the weather, and all that is upon them because they need to be there. And they need to fight when wild animal came attack the animal that is taken care of. They need to fight and to defend the animal. There is no story out there been written. How many of shepherds died defending the animal? You need to know that, because if the animal, they are lost, they will take out of your salary by your boss. You need to know that. And you work for another 40 years. At the end of that 40 years, God appeared to him at the burning bush. God appeared to him, and God has given him a mission to go back to Egypt, where he ran from. Go back where you ran from. I like God. God does not make you to run away from your issues. God will always say to go back. Let me tell you this. The mother of Ishmael, Hagar, she ran away from Sarai. She ran away from Sarai. God appeared to her and said to her, go back where you come from. God always tells you to go back where you come from. If you keep running issues, I am telling you, you will run all your life. You will run all your life. And God said to Moses, go back to Egypt. Face Pharaoh that you feared, because then I was not with you. Now I am with you, and you go. I have your back. Hallelujah. I love God. And then the next 40 years, I remember, let me say this. I'm not a numerologist, a fanatic, but let me tell you this. 40 is a number of transitions. And another 40 years, and when Moses said 40, that he have a transition. And God appeared to him. The first transition was he ran away from for his life to another land. And then the second transition is now God is sending him back where he ran away to protect his own life. God said, if you are protecting your life, you are not with me. Remember that. And God said, if you don't protect your life, you are with me. And I, God, Yahweh, I will protect your life. He went back. That's another transition. In another 40 years, it is the wilderness. That's where we are in number 20. The wilderness. He spent 40 years of his life journeying, taking the people out of Egypt and take them to the promised land. He is supposed to take the people to the promised land. God has promised him that. But when you study the life of Moses, you will arrive to understand that there is no lot of disobedience of Moses to God. Not a lot. When you study, the first things that when God called him, when he was going back to Egypt, he nearly died, because the Bible does not go to the nitty-gritty of some things. It just gives us a main story. He nearly died. Who was supposed to kill? God nearly killed him, but is the wife Zipporah circumcised the children and throw the skin on Moses and say, you are my husband from blood. You are my husband from blood. And God did not kill him for that. Maybe Moses wanted to circumcise the children, but Zipporah, with another kind of theology thinking, she was opposing to that. But when you see that the things become great, God did not want Moses to go with that, fulfilling the Torah. Then she did what she did, and she saved Moses' life. That one. And there here in Numbers chapter 20. This is another thing in Numbers chapter 20. Numbers chapter 20, this story is the type of Jesus. Is a type of Jesus. It is to show us the type, the real types of Jesus. In the 1 Corinthians chapter 10, verse 4, Apostle Paul even say they were drinking, or Father, were drinking the water from the rock that was following them. Hallelujah. When I read it, I shake myself. The water, the rock, were following them. Remember, Jesus is the rock of our salvation. And the rock, that where the water was coming out. And the rock, that where the water was coming out. And then, let me give you this description, because I'm running a little bit out of time. Verse 5 of number 20 says, and why have you made us come up out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? That how the people were crying, and how the people describe the wilderness, the desert. They say it is an evil place. And then listen how they describe it even in the details. It is not a place of grain or figs or wine or pomegranates, and nor is there any water to drink. And now you want us to die. We're supposed to die as our brothers were dying before the Lord, but you want to make us to die because we have no water to drink. And this get under the skin of Moses. Moses, who was a meek man, Moses, who was a man that really obeyed and was so humble, but this one get under his skin. And he went with Aaron, crying to the Lord, and the Lord said to him, go speak to the rocks. In Exodus, God said to him, go strike the rock. In the number, God said to him, go and speak to the rock. There is, why I say is a type of Christ. In John chapter 19, verse 30, Christ is supposed to die only once. And Christ is supposed to be smitten only once, not twice. Remember, the rock is Jesus. The rock, Christ, is the rock of our salvation. And he's supposed to be smitten only once. Now, Hebrew 9, verse 26 to 28 is even telling us that the work's supposed to be finished once. That's why Christ said, it is finished. And he's supposed to die once. He's supposed to be smitten once, not twice. But Moses made the mistake of smitten Christ twice. And he's supposed to speak, not to smitten the rock. Speak. And him, because the complaint of the people was leading was already under his skin. They get under his skin. He went and smitted twice, once, twice. He's supposed only to speak. But by doing so, it destroyed the type of Christ. And that cost him to see the promised land. And God in chapter 20 verse 11 said, because you did not sanctify my name in front of the people, you will not enter. This is the type we have. Christ. The story, the jinx of the story, the aim of the story is the type of Christ. He's supposed to die once, not twice, once. But Moses made him to be smitten and die twice. And that, it was cancer. And he was not supposed, and God said, you're not gonna enter the promised land. And Moses did not enter the promised land because of this. In conclusion, you may say, but this is so small, it's just a small sin, God. No. Before Yahweh, there is no great sin, there is no small sin. A sin is a sin. It can be small, it can be great according to human beings, but before God, it is a sin. All in the scale of God, it's called sin. And that sin does not enter God's premises. Sin does not enter God's court. Sin does not enter God's court. That's why God has to punish Moses for that. For all the people to understand. If Moses, who was a meek man, if Moses, who was a righteous man, God refused him to enter the promised land because he did not sanctify his name. What about us? He cried before God. He pleaded with God. God said, you're not going to enter. But God said, I will show you the land. That way he did. He only showed him the land. In a more multiple fences. In a camera that is so high. More than the HD camera we have today. The pixels that God showed Moses the land was high. Remember, it is 80 years plus in this time. But God is showing him the land. His eyes, the Bible says, was not dimmed at all in showing him the land. Let me stop here. God bless you. That was your host, Bishop J. Keep subscribing May God bless you. Keep subscribing, please.